You know what I really appreciate about Northwest Naturals, Carly?
Oh, I know. They don't play the chewy or direct-to-consumer game.
Exactly. They stand with the independents. No undercutting, no competing with their own stores.
Yeah, instead, they actually invest in promotions and programs that grow our businesses.
Retailers are noticing too. Northwest Naturals isn't just a food brand. They're family owned and operated, and they're a real partner with indie stores like us and you.
And you can partner with them at nw-naturals.net.
And right now, Northwest Naturals is offering an extra 5% on Gap ISOs for current clients, plus an extra 5% on any new ISO for new clients.
Just use promo code PetShopGirls.
The trade. Pet Shop Girls. Unleash your power, let's make some waves.
Hey everybody, I'm Sherry.
And I'm Carly.
Welcome back to the Pet Shop Girls podcast. We have a special guest today. We are joined by Dan Jablons, founder of Retail Smart Guys, a consulting firm that helps independent retailers improve profits, cash flow, and inventory management. Dan has worked with stores all over the world, teaching practical strategies to make retail businesses more efficient and more successful. We're excited to have him share some quick and actionable cash flow ideas that pet retailers can put into practice right away. Fun fact, also, did you know that Dan isn't just great at improving your business? He's also appeared on television. He's had a role on Curb Your Enthusiasm as Larry David's lawyer and brings his improv comedy skills right into his consulting presentations. I saw him speak at Super Zoo a few years ago, and it was fantastic. Welcome to the Pet Shop Girls, Dan.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you guys for having me. I'm delighted to be here and long-time listener, big fan.
Oh, we
thanks.
love that. We love that. Even if you're telling us fibs, we love it.
Now. Look, it's already starting. We're a minute in, and it's already starting.
Not even a minute. Yeah. All right. So, Dan, Sherry gave us a little glimpse into your background, but can you tell our listeners a little bit about, with your background, how did Retail Smart Guys come to be?
Sure. So I worked in retail since I was 17 years old. You know, the way that started was I was home on a Christmas break or something like that from college, and my dad got tired of seeing me sit on the couch. So he knew he had friends that worked in retail, and he said, hire my son, and they did. And so I was working retail, really while I was in, and I worked there in summers and Christmases, whenever we had a break and stuff like that. And they eventually made me sort of like a junior buyer, so retail is one of those things, as you guys know, you don't go into like a first grade class and say, okay, how many people want to be an astronaut? How many want to be president? And then how many would like to manage a chain of retail stores? Like, it just doesn't happen that way. You know what I mean? So
there should be teaching for it.
There should be. I would agree, by the way. But that's that's another subject for another podcast, maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, so and then right after school, I went to work for a kids' clothing manufacturer, and my job was to talk to the retailers all the time, which was fun. And then I went to work for a point of sale company, and I thought, when I was working for the point of sale company and working on all the different reporting that you can get out of a point of sale system, I thought I understood it then, But then when I started to learn about merchandise planning and open to buy, I went, oh my God, this is where retailers either make or lose money.
Right.
And I got super excited by that because I went, okay, well, a lot of times people go and they look at something and go, well, I could sell that, right? Which becomes the reason why they buy it. And that's certainly a good first step. But I think the other part of it that's kind of important is like, yeah, but where do I want to end up? Right?
Right.
There's an aspect of it in the pet business if you do any kind of costumes or paw care or that kind of paw protection or, overcoats or stuff like that for pets, where you go, okay, yeah, well, at some point the summer's going to be over or winter's going to be over and I want to be as low in the inventory as I can get. But either way, it becomes like, okay, well, having the right level of inventory is the key to cash flow or not having cash flow.
Right.
Inventory is your biggest expense as a retailer, right? you spend more money on inventory than anything else, more than rent, more than people, more than utilities, more than technology, more than anything, right?
Yes.
So being able to manicure and curate that assortment is the most important job you have as a retailer.
Mm-hmm.
And really basically what it comes down to is if we both own stores, but I'm turning at a 3-turn and you're turning at a 4-turn, you win, right? Even if we do the exact same sales volume, because it means I'm have more of my money tied up in inventory
for longer.
Yeah. And therefore I don't have the freedom to use that money for other things. Like, people sometimes say to me, oh gosh, I wish I could redecorate the store, or I'd like to hire somebody else, or I'd like to use an outside marketing firm, or, I want to do a system upgrade, or I want to build a website, but I don't have the money for it, right? You know where that money is? It's all over your sales floor.
Right.
Right. And the longer it sits there, the more likely you're not going to sell it.
Yeah.
For sure. There's an old adage about that, which is that if your customer comes in this month and sees what they saw last month, they're not coming next month, right?
Right.
One of the things that's really important in retail, especially, is to constantly show new things that excite your customer and get them excited about coming in,
Yeah.
Right.
And there is a degree of sameness in terms of food, right? I was, that kind of thing. But even that's changed a lot now, right? I mean, when I was a kid growing up, it was like you bought the same can of Alpo.
Oh my gosh. Don't say that word on this podcast.
I know.
But no, I grew up, in the 80s. Yeah. Alpo made it into our house. It did. Okay. So a lot of retailers, they need that extra cash quickly. What's the first thing you'd recommend looking at when a business owner feels cash poor?
Okay. So the first thing I would look at is what's the old inventory that's been laying around. Okay. Now, all of us in the world of inventory control and planning, we all have our own cute little sayings about inventory. I have 2. The first one is inventory is neither wine nor cheese and doesn't get better with age. Okay. And the one I really like now that I've stolen from someone else, but I really kind of like this one, is that your inventory should never have a birthday.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Some of you people have toddlers running around out there, but so the first thing I would do is identify that stuff and figure out how to turn it into cash.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, old inventory, there are 4 reasons why old inventory is bad for you. Okay. We've talked about one, which is that there's cash tied up in it, right?
Yeah.
The second one is, when we talked a little bit about that too, it affects the marketing of the store, right? If you constantly have the same stuff all the time, your customer feels like they've seen it all before. They don't need to go back, right? I've seen what's there.
I love it when I hear my customers come in and they make the comment that I feel like every time I walk in here, there's stuff I haven't seen.
That's perfect. That's what it should be. Absolutely.
Right. And I love that. And it's not necessarily this, maybe Dan's going to tell me, well, that's dumb, but this is what we do anyways. We do try to get new, different stuff all the time. But a lot of times too, we move where inventory, it was kind of, this was its home before.
Yeah.
Now we're trying different homes, and all of a sudden people think we got all this.
Yeah, and people think that it's new, but you just moved it over.
Just because they didn't walk to that part of the store. So really,
exactly.
Okay. So first we said we didn't like it because we have money tied up in it. Secondly, we didn't like it because it affects the marketing of the store, right?
Yeah.
The third thing is, just as a business owner, it's just hard to look at, right? And even if I express some interest in that dog toy that you bought during the Carter administration, right? It would take a lot for you to muster up some excitement to get me to buy it, right? Because it's, I hate that thing. But here's the fourth one. If those first 3 weren't bad enough, if they weren't horrible enough, if it wasn't bad enough that you had money tied up in it, if it wasn't bad enough that it affected your marketing, or that it's just not fun to look at, do you know you pay tax on old inventory?
In the States, yes.
Yeah.
Not in Canada.
Not in Canada.
Not in Canada.
But in the States, you do, because it affects your cost of goods sold.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So if it wasn't bad enough that your money's tied up in it, affects your marketing, you're not happy to see it, you're also paying additional tax on it.
To keep it every year and give it a birthday, you better buy cake.
So, exactly. And if it was appropriate, the cake would be stale, right? If you did it the right way. But no, really, the whole thing of it is like, it just doesn't help you, right? And so the first thing I would look for is old inventory.
Mhm.
Right? That's the first thing I would look for is like, why is it there? What are we going to do? And what are we going to do to make it go away? And I'm a big fan of just price point table on some of that stuff, right? Everything on this table is $5 or $3, whatever it's going to be, because customers always browse that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So the first thing I would definitely do is look for that reason. Okay. I'd say the next thing I would do is I would start looking at reports within your point of sale to figure out what your units per transaction and average dollar sale are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the reason I would do that is because I want to make sure that if I come in to buy a bag of dog food, that you don't just sell me a bag of dog food.
Right.
Right. And you guys know that that's your weakest margin. That's that's where we make the least profit. Right. So we want to get them into toys and treats and shoes. Mm-hmm. Right. And so there has to be your salespeople have got to be focused on adding on and making sure that they see those things. And in fact, one of the things I suggest when people have staff meetings, you do have a staff meeting once in a while, don't you?
Yes,
anyway.
Yes.
So when they have staff meetings, to just play this game, pair people up, and just person A runs out and picks up something, and person B goes, okay, if they express interest in that, what would I add on?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a twist on the typical role play.
Right.
That I've done.
Hi, how can I help you?
Yeah.
We want to go a little deeper than that. It's a little bit like, okay, so if I express an interest in this thing, what would you add on? How would you do it? I think, you have to teach people how to sell.
Yeah. It's not a born with skill.
Well, and I think there's this huge negative connotation about sales at retail, right? People think that, or just in sales in general, sometimes people envision, as soon as you say sales to some people, they see a guy in a bad checkered jacket with a toupee
used car salesman.
Selling you a car you don't need that's broken and something like that, right? The reality is that, I'm going to diverge a little bit here, but I think it's an important point for your listeners too, because one of the things that people really struggle with today, especially, is finding people and hiring good salespeople, right?
Yes.
I hear that all the time. And, they did surveys of guys in Generation Z and even Generation A. We're going through the alphabet again, by the way, in case you didn't know. And when they start talking about jobs they want, it's, well, I want to get a job, but I also want it to be an important learning experience in life.
Right.
Right. So when I'm talking to people about possibly working on the floor of retail, I say, listen, whether the economy is great or lousy, there are always great selling jobs, aren't there?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. When the economy is bad, they need people who can sell. And when the economy is great, they need people who can sell to keep up. Right. So if I can teach you how to sell, and teach you how to really make that connection and teach you that it's not about twisting someone's arm off, right? Come on, man, buy this shoe, buy the toy. Come on, man. If I can teach you that.
Or selling them something they don't need.
Right. It's not that. Yeah. It's figuring out what they do need and giving them the best service you can, right? Mm-hmm. And if they really understood that well, I guarantee their income for the rest of their lives.
Well, and I think if you even take that one step back, and I always look at I'm employing younger individuals. I believe part of my job as an employer is to help these individuals build and hone employable skills. And one of them, if we look at sales, every single time you step foot into an interview, you need to sell yourself. Like you're the brand and you got to sell
No question.
So yeah.
You know what else? Even if you guys are going to go to dinner, right? You guys decide you're going to go to dinner, okay?
Sherry's paying.
Okay, well
come on.
That's the first. We solved that right off the bat, right? Okay, good.
That's right.
So now it's which 5-star steakhouse we're going to, right, Carly?
Yeah.
All right. So you guys decide you're going to go to dinner, right? And Carly, you want Mexican food, and Sherry, you want Chinese food, okay?
Okay.
At that
Let
point,
the negotiations begin.
At that point, Carly, whether you know it or not, you're selling Mexican food. Oh, you love the they make the guacamole at the table, and you love that. And then Sherry, you're selling the Chinese food. Oh, you love the kung pao. Remember the kung pao you love so much, right?
The crab rangoons, Carly. The crab rangoons.
There you go. So no matter what, everybody's selling every single day. And even if you think you're going to take some kind of job where that's not sales oriented, at some point, you're going to have to convince somebody of something, right?
Yeah.
This plan I came up with is a good idea. This concept I have is a good idea. I deserve a raise. And so to the degree that you can learn that effectively is important. So if I'm also worried about cash flow, I want to make sure that my people on the floor know how to engage properly with customers.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, in the pet industry especially, engagement is easier there than if you're in some other kind of boutique.
100%.
Right?
I've said that to every person I've ever employed. The easiest job that we have is going up and talking to somebody about their pet.
Oh, yeah.
Because
they want to talk about their pet.
Yeah. Like you ask me if you can see pictures of Zaner on my phone, then I start scrolling through the 8,000 pictures and I start telling you about on this day he did that. And yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, and I learned this one of the first times I went to, I'm not sure if it was Super Zoo or Global Pet, but I remember hearing somebody else speak and talking about how a lot of times the pet is the most favorite
family
resident of that home, and many times liked better than other humans that are in that home.
Oh my gosh!
So I worry about that. I'm like, do you guys like me? Because she's right here. Like I'm.
No, it's a true story. Everybody loves Zaner more than me. And listen, I have customers saying that I need to put signs up in the window so they know when he's working.
There you go.
Because that's why they come in. Pet Pros, if you've ever dreamed of having your own branded line of chews, now's the time.
For real, I've got my own line, and it's all thanks to Aardvark Pet Products. They make it so easy with their private label program built just for indie stores. And I love being able to design my own labels.
Okay, but if you're not a design freak like Miss Sherry, you don't have to design your own labels because they'll do it all for you. And with their low minimums, no sneaky fees, getting your logo on chews you can actually be proud of has never been easier.
Exactly. And trust me, it makes a difference. Better margins, stronger brand presence, and your customers love supporting local.
Right. So head to artvarkpet.com and check out everything they have because indie retailers deserve big brand power without the big brand nonsense.
That's ARTVARK pet.com. Use promo code PetShopGirls to get 10% off your first order.
You know what? I think we've touched on a couple of these things, Dan, but I kind of want to go back to some of the most common mistakes that you see retailers making that are hurting their cash flow.
Well, I'd say it's a list. I'll give you a list, okay?
Mm-hmm.
First off, you have to have a plan that you buy to, okay? You can't just randomly buy stuff. And that plan should not just be, well, I sold 3 last week, I'll buy 3 this week.
Right.
Okay? It needs to be...
Crap, that's my plan.
Yeah.
That was my plan for over a decade.
Well, you know what? And that's why people find themselves like the hamster on the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't just say that because we're talking to pet store owners, by the way. But
that was a good one.
I actually didn't even catch that, but yeah.
But now cats also have wheels, Dan. So you just
okay, all right. Fair enough. But then it's like I bought 3, I sold 3, I bought 3, I sold 3. Yeah, but did you make, where is there better penetration? Where can I do something more? And where can I actually, do something more for my customer and make a better thing? Look, here's the thing. Customers now are starting to realize that pet store owners and people that work in pet stores typically know more about nutrition than their vet does.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for any other reason, by the way. It's not like the vet's like, well, I don't care about nutrition. It's that as a vet, they have so much to learn about all the different systems inside an animal and all the different animals they're going to face, right? If we're talking about, the circulatory system, the nervous system, muscles and bones and tendons and body parts and all that stuff, right?
And their primary objective is to diagnose and treat disease. They have to be able to do that. We need the people that can do that. So though some of them may want to know more about nutrition, they don't have the time.
They don't have the time.
And it's unfair for any pet parent to expect that our vets would know absolutely every single thing. So that's where we come in, is that we bring that nutrition piece.
So I think to the degree that you guys, and look, product knowledge is everything, right?
Yeah.
I tell this story. It's a fun one. So when we got this dog that's you can see a little bit of on your video there, but we got her. We were no different than any other, goofy new pet. Or we're all happy about the puppy. We're all goofy. And so I go to a local. So I won't go to the monster evil empire big pet guy. I go to the independent retail. Because that's what I'm a believer in that.
Yeah.
I trained her to bark at the Amazon truck, just so you know. Anyway, so so we go into this little independent pet store, right? And I pick up a bag of dog food, and I go, well, I think we'll get this for her, right? After showing the 8,000 pictures, even though we've had her for 4 days, right? Yeah. There's 8,000 pictures. So I go, then we're gonna get this, and then one goes, oh, it's a really bad idea. You do not want to get your pet that. Oh my God, that would be horrible.
What?
I went, oh, okay, put it back right away, I said, well, what about this one? And she said, well, that one would be fine if you want to give your dog cancer.
Oh, gee.
What? Why do they carry it if they...
Well, maybe it's not the owner. Maybe
it's not the owner.
Okay, there we go. Okay. So the employee knew, but the owner didn't.
Employee does not know that I'm a retail consultant and I'm having like a mini aneurysm while this is going on.
Yeah.
Right? And every bag I picked up was worse than the last one. Okay? Finally, I said, well, what would you do? And she just said, well, I make fresh food for my dog every single day. I would never buy dog food for them. I'm just like,
oh my gosh.
And I'm inside going, I'm going to talk to the owner and we're both going to have a little event together where we talk about this, right? She doesn't know what she doesn't know. She doesn't know the nutritional value of some of the foods that would have been okay. She just knows that if it's not fresh, if I didn't pluck it from my own garden and do whatever, it's not right for the dog and stuff like that. So she doesn't have enough product knowledge. But you can tell when you're talking to someone if they've got the product knowledge or not, right?
Yeah.
And you can also tell because they start to tell their friends, right? So, I bought this with my dog because, it has this level of whatever, if that's good for their pulmonary systems or make sure that, this dog is susceptible to having hip problems and this helps with that kind of stuff, right? Then later on, they're going to say, oh, by the way, I bought this with my dog. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because I'm aware that the dog would have problems with their hips if I didn't buy this food that has, see this nutrient right there? Like they're going to carry that story with them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And because and I say this all the time, if my dog is having a problem with their teeth or having a problem with lethargy or whatever, they're just not up and running around, and you recommend a food and that changes it, okay, you own me
for
forever.
Life. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so they become to depend upon you or rely upon you. And if you treat them not as, if you came into my store and I said, hello, madam customer, how may I help you? You're done already, right? I have to treat you like I've known you since high school.
Okay, Dan, I want to circle us back around because I felt like we were about to talk about open to buy.
We are.
Okay.
We are. I can't help but do the other things too. But all right, so let me go back to that then, okay? If you're buying based on what you sold last week or you're buying because you have a space to fill and you're not buying based upon a cash flow plan, then you're not going to have cash flow.
Okay.
Right. And open to buy has been one of those things that I've struggled with wrapping my mind around for years. And I've tried different things. I have spent hours trying to figure it out myself. And you guys make it simple.
Well, here's the thing, right? Open to buy is a science like anything else, okay? Well, not like anything else, but it's a science, okay? I'll just say that. It's a science. And so you have to understand when you're putting together an open to buy. An open to buy is basically has a couple of key ingredients to it, right? One key ingredient is forecasting. And most retailers don't want to forecast.
Right.
Right? It's hard to do. I don't want to be held to a number, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And it's too much pressure. But the thing is that you have to forecast your store by the different categories of merchandise. So we're going to forecast dry food separately than wet food, separately than frozen, separately from freeze-dried, et cetera, right? Each of those deserve its own forecast, okay? And we're going to separate toys, separate from treats, separate from chews. And some stores that we work with, if they're big enough, we might separate the different types of toys from each other. We might separate rope toys or educational toys from squeak and squawk, from that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if each of those things has its own forecast, right? And then they each have their own inventory plan, because you've got to turn the food super fast, right? The food, the food has to turn very, very fast, but some of the other stuff may not turn as fast. That said, all of that then turns into I plan to sell this, I plan to buy this, it will therefore result in X amount of cash. Is that enough for me to run the store and once in a while buy myself a donut?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And if it's not, then the mix of that has to change. Now, that said, okay, could you do it yourself as a retailer? Yes, you could, but you don't have the tools, right? I a little bit like say, and this is someone else taught me this analogy, and I like it a lot, which is just like, I could learn how to, be a dentist. I could learn how to do my own fillings. I probably wouldn't be very good at it though, right? So
Agreed.
Right.
there's
And it would
certain
take
things-
it would take you way too long to learn
way
it.
too long.
Yeah.
Or my dad once said about me, he said, the most dangerous thing he's ever seen is me with a power tool in my hands. And he was a World War II veteran.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
he already
Well,
determined.
I think that there's something else too. Like, I mean, any entrepreneur, regardless of industry, has likely heard that their time, well, we've heard this our whole lives, your time is worth money. And as an entrepreneur, your time is worth even that much more money, right? Because otherwise you're just sitting there spinning your wheels, doing all of these things that maybe you aren't skilled in.
Exactly. It took me years, Carly, to figure this out. You're going to make more money if you pay somebody else to do the things that
For
you
sure.
don't want to do.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this story. Okay. I was talking to one of my clients, and I'm like, wow, you're really underbought. You need to go get some merchandise going. And he said, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm just doing some things. And I go, doing some things? What are the things you're doing over there? Stuff. What's the stuff you're doing over? Like, I'm not letting it go, And finally he gives up. He's doing his bank reconciliations. And I go, listen, if you don't start buying some product, next month's bank reconciliation is going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, way easier.
There'll be a lot less cash. As a merchant and as a business owner, your focus has to be on your inventory and your sales and your customers and your employees. I'll add them in there too, right? But it has to be on that. And anytime you find yourself doing administrative things that are not that, you are actually costing the store money.
Mm-hmm. Sherry, as pet parents, we've all had that fear. What if our dog eats something they shouldn't, like chocolate or grapes or even a bottle of human meds left on the counter?
Exactly. It's happened to me. And that's where Ready Rescue comes in. It's the first of its kind vet-designed at-home solution for accidental pet poisonings. Something that's truly revolutionizing what pet stores can offer.
And that's huge because until now, pet parents had no real tool that they could keep at home. Everything was messy, bulky, or only available at the vet. But Ready Rescue changes that. It's clean, it's easy to give, and it's designed to buy life-saving time on the way to the clinic.
And it's not just on retail shelves. Over 200 veterinary hospitals already trust Ready Rescue in clinic. That credibility makes it a no-brainer for stores.
Exactly. Think of it like a fire extinguisher for toxins, like something you hope your customers never need it, but when they do, it could save a life. And every modern pet store should carry it.
Stocking Ready Rescue puts your store on the cutting edge of pet wellness. To order wholesale today, visit www.getreadyrescue.com and use promo code PetShopGirls for 10% off your first order plus free shipping.
Sorry, my Canadian friends. This is for new U.S. customers only for now. But if you're a retailer, this is a product you'll want on your shelves. Is there a quick little health check that business owners could do if they want to see where their money is leaking?
Old inventory is one, okay, but I think we beat that old horse. The other one I would say is cash margin. Let me talk about cash margin for a minute.
Okay.
So let's just say you buy a toy, a dog toy, okay, and you bought it for $2 and you're going to sell it for $4, okay. And when you sell it, your point of sale system is going to tell you that you you sold something for $4, it cost you $2, and your gross margin is 50%, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. The problem becomes, well, what if I sold 1, but I purchased 30? From a cash perspective, I'm upside down.
Right.
Right? So there is a degree of sell-through. So when we look at cash margin on a particular category, we look at sales at retail minus receiving at cost, right? Because if you think about that for a minute, it's the net change to your bank account. Sales at retail is my customers gave me cash or checks or credit cards or whatever, okay, for that merchandise. And then receiving at cost means I wrote checks to that vendor or to my vendors for that amount of money, right?
So right now we paid $60 for those 30 toys, but we
sold
made back
$4.
$2.
Right.
Yeah.
So we paid $60 for the toys. We sold $4. So right now I'm negative $56. Right. I'm upside down by that. Right.
Yeah.
And so if your cash margins are lower than your gross margins, it means that you're overbuying.
Okay.
Right?
And I could see, that's a typical scenario where as retailers, we see something that's a really good deal. We want to get a lot of them because holy crap, when we sell all this, we're going to make bank.
Yeah.
But we got to sell it.
That good deal is not for you.
Yeah.
It's for the vendor.
But I do want to say this, because after working with you guys for a few months, we identified areas where we weren't buying enough. So
it's that too.
If you go back to the thing where it's like, okay, I sold 3, I'm going to order 3. It doesn't work because we weren't ordering enough and we were losing out on sales.
So first off, we're always looking for opportunity. We're also it's not just about as open to buy planners, it's not just about getting you to buy less, right? It's a common misconception. It's also about the areas of the store where we look for opportunity where if you bought more, you would drive more revenue and more margin to make up for the lower margin areas like dry food and stuff like that, where it's harder to make money, right?
Yeah.
So we're always looking for opportunities in the store and things that people don't do. And here, the other thing I would say about what we do is this, in a given day, any of us within Retail Smart Guys will talk to 7 or 8 retailers at least, maybe more sometimes, right? And what happens is because we have so many of those conversations, we get to get the greatest hits of what's going on out there, right? So we'll hear about some amazing promotion somebody did, or we'll hear about some fun event they did in the store or something like that, right? And we also hear about the bad ones too.
Yeah.
But we hear about the good and the bad. So we kind of collect up. These are really good. We're going to tell people about these. These didn't work. We won't tell people about those, right?
Ooh. So you're the perfect person to ask. Where do you think the future of retail is heading?
It's in-store experiences for sure.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
Interesting.
They've been talking about the death of brick and mortar retail since JCPenney shipped a catalog in 1971.
Really? They've been talking about it for that long?
Forever. Okay. Catalog is going to kill brick and mortar. People are going to want to shop at home. They get the big Sears catalog that's like as big as your front porch. You know what I mean? It's like there's all and they've been talking about that for forever, right? And they talked about e-commerce that way for forever. But again, recent surveys by the National Retail Federation, younger people want to look at a website to understand what the store's vibe is, right?
Yeah.
But they want the in-store experience.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know even more evidence of that? Okay, so if you're like me, you get a bunch of these easily recognizable AI-driven emails.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mine are always because I'm a retail consultant and I'm also an actor, right? Mine are always, "Hi Dan, so impressed with your love for retail and also the cool acting things you do." I'm like, okay. AI has come alive, right? And then it's going to be and then they're going to sell me something else, credit card processing, a loan, or whatever that, the whole thing, right? AI is just scouring your social media posts and stuff like that and trying to pluck out what it thinks would wake you up and then try to sell you something.
Right.
People know that right now. And so as much as I like AI for certain things, because I think it's good for certain numeric forecasting and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I also think it's got its limitations.
Yeah.
Right. So the younger people are hungering for a genuine human connection.
Right.
And to the degree that we can give them a genuine human connection and not be a robot when they walk in the door, is the degree they're going to come back and hang out. And
That's why
shop.
events are so important in retail now.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know what? It's the worst thing you can do is someone is like, I always tell people the worst thing, how's it go? Like, they walk in the store, right? You have to do something that gets them out of their cell phone addled world and into the present, right? So I've had people walk in and they're on the phone, right? And I always go, say hi for me. Say hi. Like I always wave. Now that's me. That's my personality. And I joke around that way and that kind of thing. May not work for everybody, but they have to be uniquely themselves.
Yes.
And that's what makes it, it's talking to the people at the store. As much as people believe that nobody wants, salespeople think that people come in and they're accustomed to say, no thanks, I'm just looking. Because we're just trained to say it. But the truth is, within a couple of things, and you say a couple of clever things, they're dying to talk to you.
Well, that's just it. We're not asking the right questions or greeting the customers appropriately if we give them the opportunity to say, just looking.
Exactly. The yes/no thing gets you a no every single time, right?
Yeah, every time.
But the thing is, and I've learned this too, we're just kind of tying back to the open and buy thing, because I feel like I don't ever fully answer that. I haven't answered it well enough for Sherry yet. But here's the thing, right? The best marketing a retail store ever had is having the right merchandise, right?
Okay. Well, and isn't that, this is about as much as I think I fully understand open to buy. It's having the right stuff at the right time for the right customer.
Correct.
And that's as much as I know, because then as soon as I start going deeper, then I get lost.
Well,
but that's why you guys are here.
Look, people sometimes want to plan their store based on brand instead of by product, right? But, a customer wakes up in the morning and thinks product first, brand second, right? My dog needs food. I like this brand for her.
Yes.
Right? It isn't, I need more of that brand. And anybody who tries to plan their store by brand and not by product is always overbought. And people who try to plan the store just based on min-max or I sold 3, I'm buying 3, okay, are always overbought. Why? Because they're focused on what's sold. What they're not focused on is what they bought that didn't sell, that they didn't get out of, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. Like I think about when I first opened my store, if I carried a brand, I almost carried every SKU they had because I had that brand. And I was trying to create a presence for that brand in my store.
Right.
Because if you only have 1 or 2 things, nobody buys it because it doesn't have a section.
Well, and these days the brands have all these bundles, like, ooh, you can get 50% off this ISO if you bring in every single SKU. And I always pass on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just because they want a bigger footprint in your store.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's much more about finding the nuances, and that's what Open and Buy really does a great job of, is finding the nuances where we can drive more profitability, drive more cash flow, and drive a better customer experience, right?
Okay, so let's go there then. What would you say would be a few immediate things that retailers can do this week to free up their cash?
Okay, so definitely we talked about the old inventory, getting that done, right?
Yeah.
Start looking at your vendors based on the cash margin they're generating, right? So let's just say you go back and you look at last month, and you look at last month and go, okay, what did I sell from that vendor, and what did I receive from that vendor, right? And if I take what I sold minus what I received divided by what I sold, that's the percentage. That's the cash margin percentage. Now look at your point of sale and see what your gross margin is. If that cash margin is lower than your gross margin, you're overbought. Okay. If it's higher, it means you probably were selling down some inventory, but you may find there's some opportunities there because they're buying it faster than you can stock it. Okay.
Right.
I realize I went math there. I don't need to go too deep
Well, no, and
math
that's why I'm not big into numbers, and that's why I hired you guys.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't like the numbers, but you like, if you like the product and you like the customer, you love dogs and cats and some fish, birds, hamsters, whatever, that kind of thing. But you don't like the numbers, don't force yourself to do the numbers, right?
Well,
Work with people who can make the numbers digestible, right?
Yeah.
There's 5 different things I could look at in terms of that to make that work, right? We might look at, so cash flow. Okay. First off, have you done a break-even analysis to know what your expenses look like, right? Are your employees producing the right revenue per employee, right? There's formulas for all of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all things that, we take a very holistic approach to this whole thing, right? We don't just sort of go, well, here's your numbers and good luck, I hope you make it. We're trying to figure out, how do you make it? And we want to understand from an open to buy planning, what are your goals? I want to pay for my kids' college. I want to reduce this bad debt that we have. I need a new car. I want to go on a better vacation this year. Whatever the cash goals are in all of that, right? Our job is to figure out, how do we do that? We start with a break-even analysis to figure out what the expenses are. Then we figure out what your goals are. And then, okay, that's the revenue that the store has to generate. And the open to buy plan has to help you figure out how to generate that. It's not just going to be because you sold more. Because if you sold more but you bought more, then you didn't get anywhere. It's establishing the right ratio of receiving to selling that the cash flow comes in. So definitely old inventory, definitely cash margin, definitely units per transaction, average dollar sale with your employees, right? I mean, it's more than I can do just in voice. We'd have to have some, exhibits to do it. But we're very big on something called a vendor scorecard.
Okay.
The vendor scorecard is simply, over whatever period of time you like, what did I buy from that vendor? And what was my expected margin? Then what did I sell? And did I sell what I thought I was going to sell? And did I sell it at the margin I thought I was going to sell it at?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we have to bake in all kinds of things. Do you have a loyalty program involved? Do they get discounts like after 4 bags, the 5th bag is free, or, some of the other things that are in the industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all that has to get baked into that plan so that we all know what we're doing and we actually can plan out how we're going to produce the cash that you want to do the things that you want to do.
Well, and this I think kind of goes almost full circle back to where we started when we talked about inventory being one of the biggest expenses. Or I know that everybody says inventory is not an expense, but it definitely feels like one when you're a retailer. And oftentimes I feel like the more money I'm making, the more sales I'm doing, the better my month is, the less money I have.
Yeah.
And I know right there, like that, obviously I'm making mistakes and not knowing the numbers as much as I should, because as my sales increase or my month gets better, I should have more money.
Well, hey, guess what, Carly? Apparently, Retail Smart Guys will do a free analysis of your business if you use code Pet Shop Girls.
That's correct.
I know, that's what I'm going to do. And that's a $1,500 value.
So let me talk about that for a minute. We do that because as much as someone selling the service, besides someone who delivers it, but someone who's selling it, as much as I could try to convince you that everything we do is great and we're wonderful people and stuff like that, it makes much more sense for us to analyze your business and see if there's something to do. If you're turning your food at 9 or 10 times a year, if you're getting great margin on your toys and your treats and your chews, if your sell-through is unbelievable, you don't have a lot of old inventory, right? You don't need us. Keep doing what you're doing, right? But if you're not, or if you're not hitting your goals or something like that, and we can see what to do, right? Then we'd rather do the analysis and tell you, here's what we're going to do. Here's where we think you're strong. Here's where we think you're not as strong as you could be. This is the value to improving that. Okay. And that's what it's worth. Here's our fee. Here's the return on investment. Now you make a business decision. Yes, I believe it. I think it would work. Or, no, I don't like it, whatever. And it's like, fine, no harm, no foul. But at least we looked at it intelligently. It's almost like you come in and go, listen, I'm having some internal pain. And I go, okay, let's schedule you for surgery.
Right.
Wait, what? I don't, maybe it's a stomach ache. Maybe it's that breakfast burrito I shouldn't have eaten. Anyway,
okay.
So
plus you guys don't have a contract, so you can.
Our contract is month to month. We want to earn our return invitation every single month, so we want to make sure we're providing value every single month. I've seen other companies do it like they do it as an annual contract, and then 3 months before the contract is over, they get real serious about helping you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know what? That's not the game. The game should be, we should be excited about it, and we should be figuring out how to help you every single month. And really, when we read people's plans every single month, we're with you. We celebrate the wins, and we cry over the losses, and we treat everyone's business as if it was ours, as if we owned it. Like if I owned your business, and I'm like looking at it going, oh my God, I got to pay rent tomorrow, and payroll is coming up. What am I going to do? Right? I'm not just sitting there going, oh, well, boy, that's going to be rough for you. Ha, 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 ha. right?
No, I got to say, it has been peace of mind having you guys in my corner.
Okay.
And being the one that's made the decisions for the past 20 years, sometimes I second guess myself, and it's great to bounce it off of somebody who knows what's happening in the retail world.
Well, but also views it with the same, like we viewed it, but we're shoulder to shoulder with you, right? We don't just look at it like I've actually removed people who delivered the plan as if it was like a junior accountant delivering their taxes, right? That's not the game. The game is, here's where we're winning, here's where we're losing. Are we equally excited about where we could maybe take this and what it could actually do, right? That's, I want to open another store. Okay, let's figure out how to do that without adding on more debt. Let's figure out how we drive the revenue to make that happen, right?
That's what I've been wanting to do. And you guys are my secret sauce in getting there.
Well, and I'm going to give another example for those retailers who are like, no way do I want a second store. I just want the store that I have currently to run on rails so I don't have to be there busting my hump 24/7. Yeah. That's where you guys can help too, to figure out, hey, if we can inject that cash flow that allows you to have employees running that store on rails.
I want to jump in real quick. You guys do more than just what we've been talking about. You also have services where you guys can put invoices into POS systems. You've got bookkeeping services, all kinds of things.
We actually, here's what happened. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine, suddenly, like I was looking at her social media posts, and I'm like, did you go to art school overnight? Like, are you channeling Picasso? What happened here? How did this get better? And she said, and she introduced me to this company that we have since taken under our wing, right? They work with us. And what they do is we taught them retail, soup to nuts. So for a lot of customers that don't want to enter their purchase orders, we enter purchase orders for them. Or for one of my pet chains that's on the East Coast, you guys might have experienced this where like you think you bought food at one price and then the invoice comes in and it's at another price, right? Mm-hmm. And she was having her buyers audit that every single month. And so they were spending all their time auditing that and not spending time figuring out what's selling, what's not selling, what should I be buying back into, how do I grow the business? Again, it's that focus thing, right? We only have so many hours of a day. And if you're spending time auditing, well, I thought I bought this at $3.14 and they charged me $3.29. And what am I doing? You know what I mean? It's like, so to get other people administratively doing those things that you shouldn't be doing that keep you away from looking at your inventory, your sales, and your customers is a disaster for independent retail. Right. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure we basically built this thing where these guys work for less than minimum wage to do the administrative things you don't want to do.
Right.
Right.
No, it's genius. I mean, I can't believe it took me so long to find you guys. So
we were here all along, Sherry. Where were you? We were right here.
I know. I love that it seems like you really care about the success of the independent retailer.
We do.
And that's what I really love.
And we recently changed our logo like our logo says Retail Smart Guys, but I added to it planning with heart. And the reason I added that is because we do plan with heart. We do care about these people's businesses, and we don't just go, "Oh, they had a bad month, must be terrible for them." Yeah. We don't. We look at it and we go, "Oh my God, they had a bad month. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?" Right? Like we look at it that way. And this other element that I'll add to it quickly is that I also built the company based on very quick response time and rapid communication. Okay, I don't go to sleep at night unless my inbox is empty.
Oh my gosh.
Can you come clean mine?
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah, is that a service you offer? Can you clean my inbox?
But we should offer that as a service, vacuuming your inbox. But But the reason is that if you write to me, it's not because you're looking for a new chocolate chip cookie recipe, right? You're writing to me because something's going on and you need help, and we need to respond. Either we will give you that answer, or we'll say, you know what, that's a bit involved. Let's get together. Let's figure out when we can talk and go through it, right? But I want us to respond quickly. I don't want to, it's funny. I sent an email to another company today and I got an automatic response. We will respond within 72 hours. I'm just like,
right.
No. I can attest to that. You guys are Johnny on the spot. I got a call from my retail smart guy at like 6 p.m. one night after I sent him an email, and I was not expecting that. So
that's what should happen.
Yeah. Okay, Dan, how can retailers reach out to you or learn more about Retail Smart Guys?
Okay. My cell phone is 818-720-2585. That's right. I gave you my cell phone.
Wow. Okay.
My email is dan@retailsmartguys with an S at the end.com. And the website is www.retailsmartguys with an S at the end.com. Okay. Call,
Awesome.
email, text, smoke signals, whatever you want to use. Okay.
However.
But our first thing, if any of your listeners are interested in any of this, the first thing we'll do is absolutely free. We're going to look at your business and see if we can help you. And if we can help you, we're going to tell you exactly where, exactly how, and then we're going to show you and by the way, if by doing those things, the return on investment is less than a 3 times ROI, we're not even going to give you a proposal. We'll tell you what we see, and we'll give you the results of the analysis, but we're going to tell you there's not enough ROI. It doesn't make any sense for you to do this, right? We'll tell you if we think we can do something, because we're on a month-to-month agreement, and we don't want to be like fired in 3 months because there's not enough ROI. And we want to make sure that we're contributing where it makes sense.
Yeah,
For sure.
Okay.
and in order for you pet pros to get that free analysis, which is valued at $1,500, for Dan and his team basically to do a temperature check in your store, use the promo code PetShopGirls, and they're going to do that for free for you.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? So huge of you guys to sponsor that, by the way. That's not a small thing. So totally appreciate you doing that. Okay. And it shows that you care about your listeners, and it shows that you care about your customers and stuff like that. And that's where we're aligned nicely.
Yes, agreed. Well, thank you, Dan, for taking some of your busy time. We know that your cell phone's about to start ringing, so we should probably let you answer those calls.
Yeah, that's
But,
stacking up. Oh my God, my
yeah.
phone's exploding. But anyway, but I'm excited. I was thrilled to do this. So glad to do this with you guys. So much fun to talk about this. It's my favorite thing to do, so I'm happy to do it anytime. And thank you again for having me on the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dan.
Until next time, Pet Pros, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Pet Pro, that's it for this week.
Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe.
Just hit all the buttons.
And if you want more, join us in the Indie Insider, our private Facebook group for pet pros.
Then you'll never miss the podcast that makes you sit, stay, and beg for more. The Pet Shop Girls.
Pet Shop Girls.
Okay, my pet pros, you got a minute? Let's talk about one of my favorite things to talk about. Training.
You know how hard it is to keep your team educated on all the different brands you carry.
Right? And that is where Retail.pet comes in. It's a free, easy-to-use platform where your staff can learn all about your favorite brands in one place.
No more chasing reps or random PDFs or remembering 5 million logins for each brand website. Retail Pet keeps your team sharp, your customers happy, and your sales strong.
Exactly. So if you're not using it yet, sign up at Retail.pet. It's made for pet retailers like us. Did you know 90% of sales